some VFX footage that I captured on these sunglasses. These are the Oakley Meta smart glasses. They have a camera in the center. They also have speakers. You can take phone calls, listen to music, and they're very sporty. But what I've been using them primarily for is for capturing VFX. What I do is I like to film with these on because the camera is right here in the center. And when it's recording, you'll see that a white light starts blinking. And that's how I can indicate to the world that I'm recording right now. And that's how I got the footage that you're seeing looping on Adobe After Effects today. So today what we're going to be doing is adding some cool VFX to this footage that I captured with these glasses. And the idea is going to be quite simple. We're going to make some cool VFX. We're going to use probably the plugin Trapcode Particular to do some particular effects, and maybe we'll do some Gaussian splatting. It really just depends on what seems to work best today. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, in this tutorial, again, we're streaming to YouTube and Instagram right now at the same time. I'm streaming to Instagram to kind of get people to start coming to join me on YouTube, where I'm having this much higher quality microphone and better quality cameras, and hopefully a lot more clear for the audience. So let me see. Is there any way? Oh, there's a pop out. Oh, there's a full screen view. That's cool. What's pop out view? What does that do? Oh, I don't know what this is doing. Let me close back to side tab. Sorry, I'm getting used to the new interface here. All right. So first thing is first, we need to track this shot. And we're going to do that by taking the footage and going to the effects and presets, which is usually right here. Whoa, super zoom does not work there. Okay. I usually go to my effects and presets panel and I search for the 3D camera tracker. We can apply this right onto our footage. And then what Adobe After Effects is going to do is essentially try to estimate with as much accuracy as it can where the camera's position was during this duration. And it can be as fast or as slow as however fast it takes your computer to process frames. You can see that we're already like more than 25% of the way through. And this is kind of asking Adobe After Effects to go frame by frame on your video and try to estimate where was the camera position, where was the camera's rotation, and it's really just those 6 variables. Where is it positioned in X, Y, and Z? And then where is it rotated in the whatever the pitch? No, wait, this is pitch, the tilt. Uh, I forgot. There's 3 degrees of freedom for rotation, and there's 3 degrees of freedom for position. And it's trying to calculate those 6 variables on every frame. So if your computer is really old, it might take a long time to work. But if it's a pretty new computer, your thing should be able to solve. Now, it is important that you film in such a way with the tracking in mind so that I was kind of keeping a steady motion in the hopes that it tracks correctly and allows us to understand where the camera is. If there's too much motion blur, for example, it may not be able to track. But it looks like the track is successful, and all these colorful points are the successfully tracked points. I see it loses tracking right here, though, unfortunately. So it means I'll have to probably end my video right around here. That's when I start to see the last few trackers. So let me see if I can still tell a story within that shorter time frame. Let me go ahead and play it back. So I'm looking around, maybe some sound design, some particles start to emit off of the painting. I push in. Oh, it still tracks for a few and then it stops. Okay, so I guess we do have a little bit of wiggle room all the way up until this red bar. Now, the reason why this happened is likely because this might have been too much difference from the first frame, which was over here, to this frame. When there's too much of a difference, it sometimes Adobe After Effects' algorithm can sometimes lose the track. One way to solve for this is to film with a separate gyroscope that doesn't require optical images of pixels. Another one is to maybe reduce the warping on footage, but I think this is going to work for my purposes. I really just want to get this hand motion here because I want to do some kind of particle effect when I push my hand like that. I want to have like particles really emit in such a like in a really cool kind of way. I guess that's the idea. Well, we'll see how practical or doable this all is. Thanks for the person that's joining us on YouTube. I'm here. I don't know if I can see your feedback, or can I? If I click the chat button, what do I see? I see a public chat message, all participants, studio chat. Oh, I see. It's a studio. I don't know what the difference is. Let me see. Can you see this? I don't know who's I'm just testing this out. I don't know if anyone can see that, but if you can see that on YouTube, I'm new to streaming from Riverside to YouTube. It would be great if I'm able to see your chats because then I could be in very flow state with working. So let me know if you can comment back if you're able to see my response on YouTube. I don't know if you can, but just let me know. It says that's the public chat, so I don't know what that means. It says show on stream. Oh, that's interesting. Let me click on that. Whoa, I can that's really nice. I can promote people's comments and show them on the stream if I decide. That's really nice. Okay. Sorry, got distracted. Okay. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape. So to do a successful track, you only need 3 points. If you're really good eye, you can choose your points like this. Those ones are pretty good, but usually what I like to do for a plane that's this large, I try to grab at least 3 points that represent the corners of the greatest surface area that I want to track. The reason why you want to have kind of the biggest surface area is so that you're averaging the points the best. If you grab if I grabbed these 3 points in the middle, it would track, sure, but it may not look good for the whole duration. Whereas if you track the greatest extreme points that are in the thing that I want to focus on, I think it's going to track better because it's just like it's covering the bases. So with those 3 points selected, I'm going to right click and set create a solid in the camera. Some people like to do set ground plane and origin. I'll do that, and I'll do create set solid and camera. Okay. And then we just kind of play it back and see, does this plane stay mostly put? And it totally does. I'm now going to turn off the track points. If you're not seeing them, you have to check this render track points. If you uncheck it, they'll still appear until you hit play. And you want to see that this thing is at least adhering to the wall, almost like a poster. And it looks like it's working. So now the next thing is to align this solid object to that frame. Now, what's cool is it's a 3D object, so we can actually just rotate it on around its pitch. We can also move it into place. I'm just going to shift its position a little bit. And I'm also going to squash and stretch the plane to try to fit the frame as best as I can. We might need to play forward a little bit. Okay, it seems like there's a little bit of a tilt, so I might slide this a little bit that way. Maybe give it a little stretch. Maybe I'll move it up and down vertically, like right about here is looking pretty good. Maybe let's give it a rotation on the front. Great. And then maybe just kind of shrink it in the Y. And what I'm trying to do, at least to the best of my ability, is fit this plane, almost like a green screen, uh, as close to covering the surface area as possible because I want to have particles emitting from all of it. Now, I am noticing a little problem here, and it wasn't this one. Once that red line appears, we basically can't use the footage. You could try to retrack again, but I'm just going to cut it short. So let's go ahead and just trim that composition. So now we have a green that tracks the whole time. The next thing I'm noticing is you see how there is this barreling happening. Now they do have an effect to fix this inside of After Effects footage. Any kind of barreling, I used to use it on old GoPro footage, and it's an effect and preset called optics compensation. It tries to compensate for optics that are distorted from a lens, like a fisheye. So I can grab this optics compensation. I'm going to apply it to the footage, and then I'm going to try to stretch it. And so you see what it's doing? It can like almost change the kind of field of view that we filmed on. Now, if you set this to reverse lens distortion, it can also correct a footage that's not straight. So here was before, oops, and then there's like after. So I'm just trying to barrel it out a little bit, and it's almost like you're taking like I mean, the best way I can think of it is like you're bending a lens around a ball, and then what this does is it's taking that ball and bending that lens the opposite direction around the edges, so it kind of straightens out lines. So look at before, after, before, after. I mean, you can really see it. I'll just show you. I'll create a new I'll create a new shape layer and just draw a straight line because that is supposed to be a straight line, right? So let's just make a random straight line for a second. Just gonna make a random straight line and make it a little bit thinner. So you see, that's what a straight line is supposed to be, right? But before the optics compensation, it looked like that. Now it looks like this. And you could kind of keep playing with the optics compensation until lines are straight. But if you go too extreme, look at that. You get this kind of, I mean, it's a cool effect. I use it a lot, but you might kind of create unwanted distortion in the other direction. So it's really about finding that happy middle ground. For me, it's around 36.6 to remove any distortion on the lens. Now that the distortion is likely removed, let's see if that green screen stays put better. Yeah, it's a lot better. I might need to fit it more closely to the canvas, but it is tracking a lot better. The other trick we could do is we could try to track the footage now that it's straightened. That sometimes does affect the tracking markers because think about it, the tracking was happening to a barreled image. Now that we've straightened the image out, it might be worth retracking the footage. I'm just going to do that. So let's get rid of that solid and get rid of my reference shape layer just to kind of show straight lines. Again, we have that before and after, right? So now what we're going to do is delete our camera and we're going to retract this footage. We're going to need to pre-compose it, and I'm going to call this no distortion. Which, keep in mind, I do like the distortion in most other cases, but because I have a straight line that I'm trying to emit, it is important that I keep the footage as straight as possible. All right, so now that we have it pre-composed, I'm going to call this no distort. We're going to move all those attributes into a new composition. We're going to grab that same effect from before, the 3D camera tracker, and apply that effect onto the footage. It's going to be a lot faster this time just because we have a lot less frames to work with. Keep in mind we removed a chunk of frames at the front there, and and I'm pretty sure it's going to track better this time because there is no distortion on the camera. So it might even have an easier time understanding how the camera moved. Um, the other option, if you don't want to do that, is I could have applied a camera to the 3D object in the scene and then distorted the virtual camera, and then that would have created the barreling. But I have always just struggled to get my lenses to match that way. It's always been easier for me to fix the footage and then just treat it like a regular VFX shot. All right, we're about 70% of the way through. Re uh, s- Testing the camera tracker for the shot. Got 10 more seconds. Um, you know, there's a free app. Actually, it may not be free anymore. It was free when I got it, but there's an app called Cam Track AR for iPhone. CAMTRACK. Cam Track for iPhone. It's an app that actually records the gyroscope position of the phone. And this is nice because then you won't have to do this 3D tracking step that I'm doing, which really relies on the pixels. If you use Cam Track AR, you just have to rely on the gyroscope that is in everyone's phone. In fact, when you pick up an iPhone and it like how the screen turns on even though you didn't click anything, that's because there's a little device in here called a gyroscope that's always on unless you ask for it to be turned off. That is just, oh wow, I can see your messages. Hello, Dylon, thank you for being here. It says hand pink waving. Think, oh, so that's probably a waving emoji. Hello. So there's a gyroscope in here, right? And it's an extremely accurate gyroscope. In fact, you can use an iPhone to do motion tracking. It has those same 6 degrees of freedom. You have position. Where's the iPhone's position in the Y axis, up and down? Where's my iPhone in the X axis, left and right? Where's my iPhone in the Z axis, forward and back? It also keeps a tab of the rotation. Is the phone tilted in any direction, right? All of these directions are all recorded in the gyroscope. And the app, CamTrack AR, captures all that data and saves it as a file that you can open up into Blender, Cinema 4D, Maya, Adobe After Effects. But I want to use the footage that I captured on these glasses, and that's why I'm just going to show you how I would do that. Okay, so distortion fixed, great, and we have the track. Looks really good. Another fun way that you can get an estimate is you can also draw a lasso just by clicking and dragging around all of the points that are in the area that you want. That's another pretty good way of getting the average. I'm just going to reduce that target size to kind of fit in middle and then click on create solid and camera. Great. Let's see if that tracks. That tracks really, really well. Now, let's see if it can fit on the screen of this painting the whole time. So I'm just going to manually stretch it to the top here, go a little bit earlier, maybe stretch that up, and then maybe stretch a little bit wider, slide it to the left. Looks like I do need to tilt it forward. Something like that ought to do. And then let's shorten it a little bit in the top axis there. Maybe give it one more tilt that way. Oh, it looks like there's a slight distortion. This is still going to work, but I just wanted to take a look. Okay. Yeah. So you see how that, for the most part, tracks a lot better. I think at the very end, it starts to get a little screwy. So what I'm going to do is just manually change the shape just a little bit um, here and there. So I just want to have it, fit that whole corner. So there is a tool called the corner pin tool that's pretty nice. Maybe I should use that. So in the effects and presets tab in here, you can go to corner pin. We go to CORNER. Also, just for context, why do I know Adobe After Effects? You might know me for my AI work or stuff at DreamWorks. I've been using this program, Adobe After Effects, since before the iPhone existed. So think about how many generations of iPhones there are. Now imagine I was in high school and learning this program. So a lot of the things that I'm showing are from memory, from just using this app for just decades. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the corner pin and apply it to the solid. And then the corner pin's cool. It creates these little teeny corners that you can now grab, and now you can like pick whip it to exactly where you want it to be at what time. And then what's great is you can set those values. So I can say these stopwatches are how you set these values in time. That's why they use a stopwatch icon in After Effects. Think of it like, at this time, I hit the marker, you're at 00. And then at a different time, I'm going to change your value. You'd have a new time. So with those markers set, I hit the U on the keyboard to reveal those keyframes. Then I'm going to go to the past, or I guess the present, and I'm going to make sure that those corners are nice and flush with my design. Great. Just moving that last corner really carefully. Whoop. There we go. And then take a look. So the 3D camera tracker is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. And then just those little hiccups when the point kind of leaves the corner, we're fixing those little hiccups by using the corner pin tool. And every time I move it, it is setting values. That way it kind of remembers where things are at what time. I see right here, probably need this to be a little bit lower. So grab that corner and just kind of bring it down there a hair. And then that looks good. It starts to leave a little bit near the edge here, so I'm just going to pull that corner out. I really love this corner pin tool. It's very great when you're doing any kind of phone or screen replacements or poster replacements, VFX kind of work. This corner pin tool has saved me in so many commercials. Great. All right, that looks all pretty good. Let's watch it. So now we kind of have like this green screen in place of the painting, and it mostly tracks. The next thing I wanted to do is grab my hand footage. So see how my hand is kind of like behind the screen thing? Let's fix that. So this is the footage. I'm going to make a copy of it by doing Command C and then doing Command V. That just pastes a copy of that layer right here. I'm going to turn off the camera tracker, delete it all together. We don't need it because this is just going to be to grab that hand in the rotoscope. So there's a new brush in After Effects called Roto Brush 3. If you've updated After Effects recently, you will be up to date on this. And what we can do is grab the roto brush and I'm just going to click my hand a couple times. So this opens up a new window where it's just looking for the rotoscoping information. Rotoscoping is when you cut footage. They used to do rotoscoping. I think the oldest known version of it was in the Alfred Hitchcock movie Birds. They have these birds that attack humans. It's really violent. It's black and white film, great horror film. But the way that they got all the birds and the swarms of birds to be attacking all those actors was they had a human that had to use like one of those razor blades to manually cut out birds on 24 frame per second film stock. And then they would paste that film on top of footage of people pretending to be attacked by birds. And then that is how you got that effect. So rotoscoping is still used today, but now we use AI. So I will kind of draw a rough shape of my hand. Green indicates what you want to keep, and you can just do these very simple gestures, right? You can just see me doing these very little gestures. And then if you hold Option, this is what you want to not include. So holding Option erases. And so I intentionally erase around the parts that I don't want rotoscoping to happen, but we go over the areas with the green that we want to keep. Now, the first frame is going to look a little bumpy, but that's okay because this tool auto corrects itself as it goes into the next frames. It just needs to have a close enough first frame to work off of. And then this model is is pretty amazing once it gets going. So once that's in place, we now can play it forward. Oops. No, that's the wrong button. What we're going to do is play it forward. I think I need to move this so I can see more of buttons in here. And it's just to show you, this is what it's keeping, right? And then everything in red is what it's going to remove. And so now that that's kind of set, we can now hit the play button on here and watch the magic happen. It's very quick, but it's essentially cutting out all of my pixels that represent my hand in each of those frames. Now it looks like it gets a little broken on that last frame. No worries, you can hit Option, just erase that stuff so that we don't have any faulty frames. But now my hand is cut out of all of the footage, which is perfect because we're going to use that. Oh, looks like we missed my wrist. So let's get in right here. Going to add my wrist. Nice, it got it. Good, good, good. Oh, we got one little missing spot there. Get rid of that. Great. And so with that, we now have a perfect rotoscope of our hand. Last step, you have to click this freeze button. It's weird, I know, but if you don't click on it, it's going to have to keep recalculating this every single time you hit play, which isn't great for memory. So my fix for this is just to hit once you have it kind of looking good. The other thing to note is you can go really into detail with this. This roto brush has the ability to feather. It also has the ability to refine your edges, and it has the ability to deal with motion blur. It will know to like blur out the areas that are in more motion so that there's like a little bit of translucency on those areas. This is great for hair. Um, but keep in mind, these properties start to add a lot of processing. So if your computer isn't that strong, this is going to stress it out. I usually don't use them too much unless it's like really, really detailed. I'm just going to leave it out. But I will click this button, freeze, which kind of locks all this into cache. So if I hit freeze, it's just re-establishing all the previous pixels. I think it has to go through all 300 frames, but hopefully it's not thinking of doing anything for those other frames. It's just, freezing it that way. And then it should start freezing the other direction as well. There it goes. Great. And I'll just let it finish freezing. This is just caching those pixels of my hand being cut out of every frame. It's caching it into memory. All right, so that looks like it's good. With it all frozen, we can now return to our main composition, our main project over here, I think. And then I will go to that. There we go. Bring our effects panel back to a larger size. And let's take a look. So there is the footage. And what we can do now is put this hand on top of the green screen. So what that means is now my hand can interact with whatever kind of VFX we are planning on doing, which is finally the fun part. We can get into all the particle simulations and stuff. Um, so just to reiterate, we took footage. I first removed any distortions using an optics compensation tool. Once that was done, we then 3D tracked the shot. We applied a solid, almost like a green screen, onto the area where we're going to apply our VFX. We then used the corner pin tool to adjust the corners to make sure that they really snap to the parts that we want to crop out. And then finally, we did a roto brush tool on the hand so that my hand could actually go in front of the VFX and in front of the painting. With all of that, we are now ready to move into, I think, the more exciting part, and that is, the VFX. Well, sorry, the particles. This is all VFX. This took us about 25 minutes to get here. I'm going to do a quick check on our YouTube or on our Instagram comments. I'm going to encourage people on Instagram to join us over on YouTube, where I can see some of your comments. It looks like. So let me go check on Instagram real quick. All right, welcome friends on Instagram. We are streaming live to YouTube right now. If you have questions, it'd be great if you can join me there because it's just a little bit easier for me to review your comments and stuff on that form. Oh, it says there's no sound. Oh, no sound? There's no sound for you on YouTube? Uh, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me, but hopefully you can hear me. Are you able to hear me on Instagram? Okay. Well, hopefully you can hear me on YouTube. I guess I can check that too. Let me see. If I open up YouTube and just take a quick little peek over here at my own YouTube channel, I just want to make sure that I'm seeing the live stream appear. So let me go to my channel. I see that I'm live. All right. Looks like it's working. Okay. Great. Let's get into the next part. This part's a little bit more experimental, and it is the VFX part. So the reason why I wanted to create this green was for multiple reasons. One is I still really want to use this painting. I was kind of drawn to it at the museum, and I want to do some cool VFX with it. But I want the VFX, I want the particles to only really apply to the painting. And so creating this green screen around the painting is going to be used as a mask. And now I'll show you how we'll apply that. So I'm going to make a copy of the footage. I'm going to move it and turn off any kind of a camera control things, right? And then what we're going to do and make a copy of that solid. And inside here, there's a toggle switch that is called track matte. So what this will do, I'm going to hide all my footage real quick. So we're just looking at, oh, well, sorry, we need to keep the camera on. Keep the camera on. We have the footage here, and then we have our solid green here, right? So here's our green solid. This is our footage that's been without distortions, and then we have our camera data so that it knows to keep this angle. What we're going to do is set the top layer as the track solid. And I think I screwed up. Let me flip the order. Sometimes I get confused here. I think I moved the solid underneath the layer that I want to work on. We go to the footage layer, which is this top layer now, and we set the track matte to track solid. So now what this did is it created a mask that is just around the painting. It keeps just the painting. Everything else is actually now just transparent information. In fact, when I turn on alpha display, you can see that everything else is really just a is blank information. This is essentially the gold that you need in order to create some really cool particle effects. Whoa, you see that? My hands are doing some very weird dragging effect. I think they're off by 1 frame. Do you see this? This happens when your frames are not aligned. So, oh, I see it. It just moved by one little hair over here. Let's slide that there. That will fix the alignment problem. Got it. Great. Okay. So yeah, it's fun to be really detailed oriented over here. So now that we have our track mat, we can now work on the VFX. So I'm going to take this version and this track mat and this camera. I'm going to copy all three of these. I'm going to take all three of them, right click, and I'm going to pre-compose this as one element. I'm going to call this just painting. That way I know that this whole layer, which I'm now going to give a new color, fuchsia, this fuchsia layer is just the painting. This layer is just the hand. I'll make it a different color. Let's make it yellow. So the yellow layer is the hand that comes up in the front, right around here. That's the hand layer. Doop, 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 doop. And then we have our just the painting layer. Doop, 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 doop. And then we have, yeah, so now I can bring back the footage. And with all that done, we can now apply particle effects to just that thing, just the painting. So let's do that. So with the footage selected, actually, I'm gonna make a copy of it just in case I screw up. And on this version, we're gonna change the color of the layer to maybe orange. So I just know this is my test. And we're going to the effects. And the plugin that we're using, it comes with Red Giant software, and it's called Trapcode Particular. Trapcode Particular. It's a pretty old school one, but it's got a lot of power. It takes a second to load. It's that powerful. Look at that. So what this thing does is it opens up an entire particle system that lets you emit and design and create all sorts of really cool particle effects. They have little demonstrations of particles already. They have different types of motion that you can experiment with. And it really is something you just have to experiment with. I don't think I have specific numbers to tell you, but you can take a look already. The particles are alive. You can see them in the scene, and they're very 3D. So, like, you already have a 3D camera in the scene. You can already see these white particles in here. So, I'm going to go to the what is it? Oh, the show system. Wait, what is it? Oh, I think I have two cameras. Okay. Sorry, there's like a double camera effect going on now, but let me see if that fixed it. Oh no, we do need a camera on. So let's turn the camera back on. All right, so we have our particles and let's start to play. First, we have the emitter. You can increase the particles per second. You can, I wonder where's the position. I see velocity, I see direction. Oh, here's position. So here's position in X, Y, and Z. So I want to slide it in the X direction. So it's a little bit closer to the painting. And we also need to slide it in the Z position, X, Y, Z. Let's push it towards the painting. Let me see where that is now. Okay, cool. It's a little bit closer to the front of the painting. It's good. Let's make sure it's even closer. So I'm going to go push it even closer into the Z axis and slide it over in the X axis. And now actually it kind of looks cool. There's like a little particle right there. Okay, now we're going to go to the velocity, and I'm just going to increase the velocity of those particles. And so what this is just going to do is just kind of give us a little, you can kind of start to see it coming to life, right? We just have these little particles that are emitting from the painting. But what I want to try to do, and I don't know how, I'm going to try to learn, I want them to emit the color of the painting itself. Um, I think there's a way to do that, but I got to figure it out. Or we could probably just manually pick a few colors and just place particle emitters in different spots. That's also a possibility. So there's this linked null thing. There's a direction. It's all uniform. Let's do directional. And I'm going to say I want the direction to be, let's see which way. Okay, it looks like it's very directional right now. Let me do omnidirectional for now. So it's kind of just going everywhere. Then we have the particle itself. Right now it's on a sphere. They also have sprites now. That's cool. You can do a start color. You can do a random color. You can do particle physics, particle feather. I don't see what that's doing. Oh, that's the individual particle. The size randomness. So if I create size random, Now the particles are of different sizes. There's the particle color. Just to make it easier to see, I'm going to make these like bright, whatever color is the highest contrast right now. Just so while we're working, we can kind of see what we're doing better. So I'm just going to do this pink just so I can kind of see it. Um, all right, so you kind of get this idea, right? We have a particle emitter. It's on the painting. Now I just got to get these colors to be more interesting. So there's color random. What does this do? Oh, that's cool. So color random is it's very literal. It just makes random colors emit from the thing. That's nice, but not what I want. What I'm trying to do is get like a I'm trying to remember how to do this. I want it to inherit the color. Let's see, over life temperature radially from the light center at start. That's set color over life color, particle physics, air resistance random, air rotation. You can do turbulence, velocity distribution. What's this do? Okay, this looks like it changes how fast some particles are. Some are slow now, some are fast. Interesting. Lighting. Maybe if I make the lighting. Oh, it's set to natural light. Interesting. So yeah, we're kind of in the experimental phase right now. I just got to figure out what settings look really nice and then play with them. There are ways to get images to emit particles. I might need to reference a tutorial myself, but I'll just keep playing. Let's do directional again. So right now the direction is based off this rotation, right? So if I rotate in Y, now we're facing those particles forward, right? Yeah, they're kind of emitting off of it. If I do a rotation, if I go uniform, they go in every direction. If I do particle life, let's do a cloudlet. What does that do? Oh, I like that one more. It feels more like paint. Okay. Let's see. So now let's go to the emitter. It's a continuous. There's an explode emitter. What's that do? Let me take a look. Oh, interesting. It's more like a firework. That's interesting. That's explode. Let's try dynamic form. Dynamic form is best suited for physics and with emitters that don't animate over time. Okay. I don't know what that means. Let me see what it looks like. I don't see a dynamic form happening. Let's try continuous. They have a point. Oh, you could do a box. Ah, oh, you could do a text and a mask. You can do a whole layer. Okay, I'm gonna set this to layer and then choose the layer, I guess. How does that work? Where is the particle coming from? Emitter type is set to layer. How do I choose the layer that I want it to emit from? Interesting. I don't know what that's doing. Let's see what a box looks like. Okay, so here's a box emitter. The box has, oh, on a grid. That's helpful. Oh, it's super helpful. So if I do particles in the X, you can choose. Oh, that's so nice. So let me turn off particles in X to 1, 1, and 1. I just want to see what this does. Okay, so I kind of see where that's flowing. How do I change XYZ? Let's do individual. The emitter size in X. I'm going to make it taller. I don't see anything happening. There we go. We're just getting more particles this way. Whoa. Okay, so that Z is the one that gets pretty dense pretty fast. Oh, and it stops all of a sudden. Oh, because it's rendering. Let me just take a look. So particles are now kind of emitting. Don't know why they stop all of a sudden. I don't see any keyframes to suggest they should stop. Um, oh, I see. There it is. Life in seconds is set to 3. My scene is around 10 seconds. So if I want them to last the whole time, we should set the life to 11 seconds. So now we should have particles that never vanish. So they should appear the whole time. That's great. Oh, this weird burst comes out at the end. More particles you're emitting. Okay. Oh, I see. Periodic burst. That would do it. I don't want that. So let's just do traverse. I don't know what that means. Oh, that's cool. They kind of like roll off the canvas now. It's like they're moving. What's random? Let me see what that looks like. Oh, that's fun. It's kind of spiraling in different directions. I kind of like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm going to change this from a cloudlet to a streaklet. What is a streaklet? Oh, they're really fine particles. Let's do a glow sphere. No, I don't like that. Let's try a star. Don't like that either. Let's just do a sphere. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. I can see where this is going. Now let's go to the emitter size and life size set to 5. Whoa. Okay, I just cranked that up too high. So if I put this up to 17, let's see what that looks like. Okay, interesting. 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 All right. There's opacity random at start over X from litter. Let me see what this radial color changes. Whoa. Oh, that's really cool. I like seeing multiple shades in there. I think that's a pretty interesting look. I don't like the colors per se, but we'll keep adjusting until we get something magical. The other trick I have in mind is actually, let me make this taller. Particles in Y is set to 40, particles in C is 6, emitter size in Y. So what if we just double the emitter size in the Y axis to 1,000? Still not too tall. Let's go more than 1,000. Let's go with that. And then can I move the position of this again? Let's go to our position. I see our direction, but I don't see our emitter, our particle position. Just looking for 3 values, X, Y, and Z. There it is. Let's move it down in the Y axis so it kind of stays more on the whole canvas. All right, this is starting to get the physical properties that I want, which I love. It means it's really coming out it's starting to come to me. Um, and I'll worry about my hand later. I'm just going to have my hand basically create some turbulence in the particles. Like imagine if you push that, it kind of sweeps. Um, okay, cool. Sequence type is set to random. Let me see what is Z sync traverse. Let's try that. That's interesting. I really like that. Huh? That's something. I kind of imagine the whole thing emitting though, and maybe not that kind of pulse. Let me, but it is kind of cool. We could sync up that timing. Velocity from emitter motion percentage. What the hell is that? All right, let me go ahead and crank that up to 1,000. I mean, that looks pretty magical. I just wish the colors were more of the design, you know? But I think we're gonna get close. I mean, we got color in here. It's forming. It wants to happen. We're gonna make it happen. Okay. Emission extras, periodic random, lights, unique sequence. What does periodic random do? I'm just gonna crank that up. Particle feather, particle physics. Let's see what do we have in here. We have mass, size effect, air resistance. Huh. Rotational air resistance. Let me see what that is. So just added some air resistance. It kind of just treats the room. The air feels a little bit thicker now. Is there a turbulence though? Oh, there we go. Physics simulations. Bounce, meander, flocking, or fluid in combustion. Let's try fluid in combustion. Whoa. Oh, this is cool. If I can get this to work. So this is buoyancy and swirls only. Force relative position. Let's push this in the Z. Okay. Buoyancy, random swirl on the XYZ. I'll go ahead and just increase that a little bit. Swirl scale. All right, let me see what we got here. So it's got that traversal effect. Oh, I like this one more. It's more melty. I don't know if I like traversal with it though. What's this combustion? Whoa, it's like a fire simulation now. Dude, if we can do all this stuff, then why can't we just get the color of the painting in there? Wow, that's so interesting. I did not know I could do this kind of particle simulation here. Um, Very interesting. It gives me all sorts of ideas. It gives me lots of ideas. I see lighting in there. Okay, I see kaleidoscope. I see rendering, full render, CPU, camera settings. What is layer maps? Color and alpha. Oh, oh, there it is. I think this is where I can get the color. Okay, I just need the layer name. I think it is just painting one. Yeah? Did I do it? Map over XY? No. XY times Z? No. Off. Okay. Let's do it from masks. No. Effects and masks. Oh, we're so close. Maybe let me turn off the fluid thing. RGB to RGB, A to A. RGB to RGBA. Lightness to alpha. Oh, we're so close. If I can get this to have the same color, blend mode is set to screen. What if I set this to normal? Color random. Set color at start. Now I have the color that I would like it to be. So close. Let me get rid of the traversal thing, which is cool, but I don't know if I need it that much. So I'm gonna go to the particle. Where was that? There it is. I'm just gonna set this to random like we had before. So it's just kind of this continuous particulation. And then I just want to get the colors of that layer beneath it. Map over XY. There we go. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Now I got the colors of the painting. Random seems too random now. I'm going to try traversal again. Let's see what this looks like. Let's try traversal Z-Sync. Okay, this is getting somewhere. The colors of the painting are now emitting properly. But now I want to play with those clouds. Let's try the cloudlets again so they feel more like blocks of paint. That's good. And then let's say we want to reduce some of this um, air resistant stuff. So, and this opacity slider. Let's take the particles in Y and reduce them a lot. Or particles in Z. Which one is which? Okay, so I think I'm getting something right here. Let's get particles per second. Let's increase the number of particles. Okay, what are we getting here? Where is it getting that value from? Let's pull this down, move this up. Maybe try moving this. Okay, there we go. We're getting some more colors. I just don't know where or why it's not pulling exactly the colors that are behind the painting. It's like shuffling the painting around. Is this the issue? Do I have to link it to the null? Let's try just painting. I see it in there now. Let's try track solid. Okay, so it's kind of in the right position. Let's try no distortion. I feel like we're getting close here. We'll get there. Sorry, my phone went into like night mode. All right, so this is close. It's just not. I don't know. I'm trying to almost get the. Maybe turn off the randomness. Rotation. If we turn off rotations in the particles. Okay, so if the velocity is really low. Oh, there we go. Okay, let me see that. So this is a very low velocity. Velocity distribution. No, then the particles can't leave. I want the particles to move. Hmm. What to do? Hmm. All right, emitter size XYZ linked. That's our individual. So I'm just playing with the rotation of the gradients here. Don't know where these two blocks are coming from. That's the strangest thing. Oh, what's as strings? Hmm. It's like it's pulling random colors that I don't want it to use. I want to just use that. So let me see. I think might have pulled the wrong color. Um, let's say we want, that's not looking like the right thing either. Hmm. I guess I could put this behind the subject. That might be kind of cool. But I kind of wanted to have this whole painting come to life. Oh, wait, that's closer. It's not great, but it's definitely closer. Ooh, that's pretty cool. I'm just experimenting with every one of these buttons until it looks right. Okay, and then what's XY time Z plus time? Okay, what is this? It's getting really close. I mean, feels like these are the right colors emitting from the painting. Now I just gotta maybe play with maybe the starting position. So when we were in that physics section, they had that section called color random. If I increase that, does that do anything? Okay, so that makes everything rainbow. I love it, but not what I was going for. Let's do at start. Does that do anything? No. Okay, opacity 100, size random, size 17. So let me decrease the size of the particles. Okay, so they're much smaller now. That's kind of interesting. Mm-mm. Sorry, folks. Don't know exactly where it's heading now. We're just trying to make something look cool. Let me go to velocity over life. Let's play with the speed of those particles and distribute that velocity over it. Let's do more rotations in that's the Z. What's this? That's the Y. And then we have our emitter size in the X. Let's make it a little bit wider, maybe, and then make this a little bit deeper in the Z. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Let's try that Z traversal thing again. Maybe it does have a space here. What's the sprite option? Oh, it's like pixels. Hilarious. Oh, you can choose a sprite. Let's do sphere. Okay, and then you can increase the mass of some of these particles. Okay, that one's pretty cool. I might want to put a light source through the particles. But yeah, it also feels like the particles kind of appear out of nowhere. I kind of need them to like sweepingly appear. So let's maybe go into that directional thing. Oh, it's not doing anything now. Did I screw up something? I think that velocity is too high. Let's go ahead and bring down the velocity. Oh, and then they just kind of stay put. So there's got to be a happy middle ground here. So the particle life is looking good. Particle feathers looking fine. Let's see if we can do what is flocking. Let's enable flocking. I don't know what that is. Oh, you can set them to attract. That's so cool. So this will make some flock together more closely. Oh, that's cool. It's almost like the birds. I like the flocking effect. That's kind of cool. It's like the particles actually have like force now. And that might be a cool time to then when I push at them, maybe like um that could be like the attractor force or something. Target attraction. Oh, that's cool. So I could totally do that. So maybe the particles emit, they get to a certain cluster, they start to kind of form into these piles, and then maybe when I push my hand in, we set the force to separate and we animate that out. So boom, I set a force to separate the particles and then reduce their attraction at the same time. Let's take a look. That would be cool. Okay, that kind of worked. I like it. My computer is freaking out. It's a good time to save. Did not save this yet. Let's just trap code painting. All right, let's take a look. So particles start emitting. They're doing their thing. Then the particles start to cluster up, which is cool. Then we push the particles and they separate. And then the computer breaks because it doesn't know what to calculate. Oh yeah, actually, I hear the fan on my computer, speeding up a lot. So flocking is a cool effect, but it looks like it does use a lot of resources. So maybe let's drop the particle emission rate at the same time. We could probably get away with a lot less particles, right? Let's take a look at that. So there's less particles now. The clusters start to form. Push happens. Yeah, it's a lot better now. There's fewer particles to calculate. Cool. All right. I like where this is going. Wow, that's cool. Adding physics to the particles, I think, really helps add a lot of life to them. I did have one other idea. First off, was the size of the particles. So if I go to particle size somewhere in here, there it is, set to 17. Let me see what this looks like if they were larger. I'm just curious. Here we go. Oh, I like that kind of better. But maybe I'll have the particles also fade, or maybe let's push the particles so far apart at this point that the separation strength is like at 100. That way, the particles actually blast everywhere. and create some space visually, so that we can reveal the painting again. Let me see where that goes. So if the particles are here, they're doing their thing. Kind of hard to see what's going on. So then we go with our hand and just kind of bat at the particles. They separate, and then it's like a time freeze effect. Okay, this is going somewhere. I like where this is going. I kind of don't like how the particles are invisible though. So maybe I'll start with the particles getting really small. So let's do size over life. The size of the particle should change. So if we go to the size, let's change that over time. So let's set a variable so that they start off at size 0 at this moment in time. And then they grow to whatever size was kind of cool to work with. That's 59. Okay, let's go higher than 59, maybe 86. Yeah. So let's see this happen. So now the particles will start off really small. I like that better. They don't pop on as much. Now they kind of like shrink, and then the particles kind of dissipate. And then maybe, how about this? Right when the particles get hit, I will start to bring the size back down. So that's how the particles kind of dissipate, right? Is like the size will go down as they are hit. So let's take a look at that. Particles are small, they're moving around, they're doing their stuff, they start to cluster into their flocks. Then the hand comes in, pushes the particles away, and then they all start to shrink, revealing. Oh, wait, did it go? Don't know if they shrank fast enough. We all should probably get the lifespan to be lower. So let's say that maybe their lifespan should be around 9 seconds. So let's go to the particle life, which is currently set to 11. Let's set it to 9 seconds. And this way, the particles actually fade, which also will speed up the memory. So we got our clusters, hand comes in, pushes the clusters of paint, and then they all start to. It's weird. It doesn't happen so quick. Oh, I see. Because the whole scene's only 10 seconds long. So we really need the particles to like start to fade at around 8 seconds. So let's set the the life of a particle to 7.5 or something. Let's take a look. Particles start to come in. Start to cluster. Hand comes in, pushes the particles away. And then it's weird. The particles, I don't know what's happening. It's like they don't want to leave. Maybe what I could do is just play with the particle rate. Maybe the rate of the particles per second decreases dramatically at that time. So we're not getting like new particles after the hit. That might help fix the problem. Let's try that. That helped a little bit. What I'm really excited for is when we get to the sound design part pretty soon. That'll be really fun. Okay, this is looking great. All right, I had another idea that I wanted to add to the mix. Um, it might be too much, but I want to see what it would look like. So here's the idea. I wanted to see what would a displacement map look like if those particles not only were a different color like this, but also if they bent the light around the painting. almost like they were made of like a fluid, almost like a water or a chrome. It's just a random idea that came to my head. So how do we do that? Well, I will make a copy of the painting first and foremost. I'll copy this layer, which has all the particles. Actually, you know what? I probably can just use it as is. I'm going to make a new adjustment layer on everything except for the hand. I want this to be below the hand layer. Think I got that fixed. Okay. And then on this adjustment layer, we're going to do an effect called displacement map. Oops, not corner displace. It's just called displacement. Displacement map. We're going to apply the displacement map to the adjustment layer. An adjustment layer passes effects to all layers below it. And then for the source, we're going to set this to the just painting layer. And then we can play with the distortion. So this will create a pretty trippy effect. And then if we set this to mask, there we go. And then now all of those particles actually can bend the light around the room. Let's see if that looks good or not. I don't know. Or if it's too heavy. Let's take a look. So now the particles feel more bubbly and more melty. I really like this. Let's say we want to crank it up even further, maybe more in the horizontal direction or vertical direction. That's too much. Let's go that way. Let's go this way. Okay, let's take a look. Play it back again. Particles are emitting. Looks like that's really trippy. I kind of love it. Whoa, that is a lot going on. Seeing that makes me want to switch it to cloudlets. So let's go to our just painting layer, switch the particle type from sphere to cloudlet. All right, let's take a look at how that changes everything. So now it feels very liquidy, maybe too liquidy. I'm not fully opposed to this yet. I just want to see what it looks like at full speed. Hand comes in, pushes the particles. This might be too much stuff going on. Maybe we'll go back to the spheres. So now you can't really discern anything. It's all just like abstract. I kind of love it. What would happen if we took the color out? What if it was just the distortions without the weird color that I spent so much time trying to get working? Would that work? So if I took the color out of these layers, uh-oh, we got a frozen After Effects. Let me save it. It might crash. Oh yeah, it might crash. I can feel the crash coming. Okay. I think we asked the computer to do too much with that particle cloud glass effect. It might have just pooped out on us because I don't even see the playback working here now. Oddly, you can still click around other menus. So it's probably not a full crash. Maybe it's more of like a partial crash. I'm going to go to the edit purge memory disk cache. There's probably like 100 gigs in there. Yeah, 120 gigs of just stored memory. Let's just get rid of that. I think this will fix it. If not, we might have to redo. Oh, okay. That messed up something. Well, we did save it right before this, right? I'm going to close After Effects and then reopen it. Sorry about that. So let me just switch it up real quick. Do a quick refresh. I think we saved it, right? We saved it right before that crash. Fingers crossed. Um, really, really hope so. Oh wow, won't even close on my end. After Effects is having a crash. I think it's because I pushed it to the limits. All right, I'm force quitting After Effects. It wants me to send an error report. Okay, we're good. Let's go ahead and restart After Effects. Hopefully, we didn't just break the whole world here. Keep effects enabled. And then let me reshare my window with you. Okay, so let's see trap code painting 2 minutes ago. That's a good sign. All right, is it working? I don't know. I don't know. Please work. All right, I see it. Almost everything is there. I see keyframes. So, okay, it did work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out those cloudlets. I think that was a bad decision and switch them out to spheres. Looks like we didn't lose everything, but we definitely did stress out the computer right there. So let's take a look. I think the cloudlets look cool. I might just turn down the refraction a little bit. It might be a little much for parts of it. Yeah, and also I could just take down the opacity extra. So let's go to the opacity of the particles and then just bring that value down just a little bit. So if we go to the opacity, it's set to 100. If I set this to like 32%, we should be able to see through the color a little bit. Okay, that freaks it out. Fair. I'm asking my computer to do a lot of calculations here. Ah, did I just freeze it again? So maybe the lesson here is to not um, change too many visual settings on the heaviest frame. Maybe it's wiser to change at the start, the 000 mark, change your visual settings there, and then hit play. Because otherwise, it looks like it's just freezing After Effects. Um, yeah, it's just too much information or something. I know I cleared memory disk cache, but I might need to force quit that again. Sorry about that. Running into some little glitches here. All right, let's restart After Effects one more time. I believe in you, After Effects. Where is it? After Effects. There it is. Oh wow, won't let me force quit. That's a bad sign. It says it was an error in the plugin trap code. I don't think it's an error. I think it's user error. I'm putting in too much of a request. So let's fix that. Okay, it's loading up and I can share my screen again. Sharing screen to Adobe After Effects. Okay. Looks like we're back. Let's go change some settings very carefully. Let's turn off this adjustment layer. That might help too. So let's just go back to the early particles. Those are the cloudlet ones. We're going to switch it from cloudlets like we had before. We're going to switch those to spheres. Great. And then we're going to go to the adjustment layer. I'm just going to make it not so extreme. I think also pixel wrapping uses a lot of memory, so I'm going to reduce that. Let's make these numbers less extreme. So let's take a look. Yeah, these are much more bubbly now, which I kind of like. Let's save it so we don't lose these settings. So funny. It gets to this frame and then it crashes. Hmm. I don't know why that frame is so heavy on the computer. I think my particles per second are just still too high. Or is it just the size of the particle that makes it too heavy? Wow. Yeah, it's like totally frozen. Okay. Just checking over here on Instagram. All right. Well, this effect kind of works. I think I'm just asking it to do too much in one setting. What might be wise at this point is just to export, single layers of these things and then composite them back together. I think I'm asking it to do two. I have a bad order of operations that I'm asking it to do, and it's causing After Effects to keep crashing. So let's try this again. Um, I need to think of a better way to reduce the crashing. Maybe I'll export some of this already. So what we'll do is take this adjustment layer, which I think is what's crashing it out. And then on this layer, what if I just drop the opacity a tiny bit on the layer itself, just so we can kind of see through it? Let me see what that looks like. Okay, and then let me see what that looks like with the adjustment layer. I think that's kind of cool. Now here it is with just the distortions. Ah, and it crashed again. Okay. All right. Well, I think it was getting close to something cool. I don't know what went wrong. I think it's my adjustment layer. I think that is just stressing out my computer for some reason. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna end the live stream then because it keeps just crashing. Or what we should test out is I'm just gonna try it one more time. I think I'm gonna turn off the adjustment layer. I think it's applying too many effects to too many layers, and After Effects does not like this at all. So I just got rid of that layer, and then let's turn on just our visual effects. Okay, turn up the opacity on those effects. So fingers crossed this works fine now because I deleted the adjustment layer. So that's no longer an excuse. Ah, oh, it went through. It's just a lot to load, but it does go through now. Great. So I'm going to just play it safe and export this in a high quality format, just so I have this video. Then I'm going to re-bring that in and just do the composite on a separate project. I think I just have to bake things down. We used to have to do this kind of process in early render engines. When you have heavy projects, we would kind of like bake it down in steps. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I got rid of the problem. it was the adjustment layer. So what I'm going to do is just export this right now as a single pass, and then re-bring this into the scene in a new composition where all these particles are essentially baked down and not being processed live. I think the fact that they're being processed live is causing some problems. It doesn't know how to handle this. I'm also going to hide my hand layer just for this pass. So it's just the thing and the particles. And then I'll bring my hand and the other things back together at the end. So let's do that now. I'm going to go to File, Export somewhere. There it is, Add to Render Queue. And I'm just going to render this. I guess right here is fine. Maybe not H.264. I want to keep this in high quality just so I have the most resolution to work with. And I'm just going to save. Oh, let's call this baked. This is just the baked footage. It's when you bake effects in. And we're just going to render that out real quick. The hope here is that by baking these pixels, it's not having to recalculate particle physics and apply distortions. It will just have to do, I'm saving it some computation. The idea is if I kind of pre-bake all of these particles moving around, when I go and play with this footage again as just footage, After Effects will have to do less calculations in the moment. So the only, downside of baking effects into your footage is that it does lock you into a look. If we decide that we want to change our mind about the particles later, then this becomes an issue. You can't if it's baked. But I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. I just wanted to add some extra spice to the shot. So, maybe this all works out great. Um, I think working off of baked footage is something I usually only do when, you're pretty sure that you're locked on what the effect is going to be. I think we're in pretty good shape. It's at 81% exported. We just got a few more percents to go, and it should be able to export, and then we'll bring this footage right back into the same composition. And, oh wow, hear the computer stressing. Even baking the footage, it looks like it's an issue with this project, but I'll keep it going. Hopefully it doesn't totally bug out and crash. That wouldn't be all that fun. But it is weird that it's stuck at 81% there. There might be a certain number of particles that my computer does not like to render, which is odd because this is like a pretty nice computer. So I might have to change some settings around on my end. Wow, it's stuck. What a trip. It's weird to see my computer struggle with a rendering task. I got this computer for its rendering capabilities, and I don't even have other apps running. So, MacBook M4, MacBook Pro M4 chip. It's just the first time I'm seeing it struggle with a rendering task. It's stuck on this frame. If I hit stop, will it still give me the video up until that point? Wow, even the stop doesn't work. Okay, friends. Well, we got somewhere. Didn't get exactly where I wanted to today. I'm surprised by the errors that we've encountered. Yeah, it looks like it's frozen again. Let's see if the thing got exported at all though, because it might have gotten exported. Wow, it's just stuck. Okay, rough time with After Effects today, folks. This is the most crashes I've had in a few months. That being said, this is a pretty new workflow for me. I wanted to kind of show how I would go about, adding particle effects to footage, and maybe this was a bit ambitious for a project. I haven't used trap code in like forever. So maybe this was a sign that this was not meant to happen yet. Um, the baked footage did not even bake, so I can't even play it back. Wow, so many errors. I mean, does it not like this distortion? Maybe I'll bring my distortions back. I am super confused that it keeps crashing here. I mean, it plays back so perfectly here. Let's just export right now with no other expectations. Just like it's working, it's playing back smoothly. Can it just load now? Let's just see what we get. Just going to try to render these out. Hope it doesn't crash. I'm choosing as an MP4 now, which does lower the quality a lot, but I'd rather have a video than no video at all. Wow, it froze at 81% again too. Geez, this video does not want to exist. Maybe I'll screen record my After Effects viewport and then that will be the video. Oh, it's going. Yay. Whew. Thank goodness. Had me worried there for a second. Okay, so we got a video output. Great. Let's re-import that video back into the scene. It's now the baked version of the shot. There it is. Awesome. And then we're going to go to our distortions, our other layers. This is the footage before distortions, right? Oh no, this is the original footage. I just want to see what this would have looked like if we had done the painting without the camera distortion change. Okay, so that's just the painting. Where's the other thing? Okay, this is the no distortion footage. Let me see this real quick. So that was the original shot on the glasses, but we didn't work on that shot. Okay. Cool. So particles, they're doing their thing. They're here. Hand comes in, particles react. I mean, I could just call it a day, but I want to push things further. So the next thing I'm going to do is export the particles without anything in the shot. So it's just like a bare shot. Oh wait, with the camera track data. So it should be just the particles itself now. And I'm going to export this hopefully as its own video. So we're going to go to File, Export, Add to Media Encoder queue, or I'll just add a render queue. And then what we want to choose is the QuickTime with alpha channel. QuickTime with alpha should preserve that transparent data. So I'm just going to call this particles, save it, and render it. So it should be pretty light to render. It's just the particles tracked into the scene. with the right colors. Good. That one appeared to work. And then let's bring these all back. Okay. And so I'm going to go to the original footage with the distortions, make a new composition from it, and I'm just going to see what happens if we were to add those particles back onto it. It might actually work pretty well now. Yeah. And then for the hand, I'm going to go to this layer, kind of recreating the shot that was breaking earlier. Is this the hand with the yellow? Yeah, it's the okay. So I'm going to copy the hand layer. And paste it here. Hand's doing some little bit of weird stuff there just because the distortion I have on the layer, but I think it's quick enough. It should be okay. I'm not too worried about the hands having kind of a double. We could raise it up a little bit. Or I could just apply the optics compensation to this hand. Does that do it? No, that's the same problem as before. Okay. So we're in here, particles doing their thing. And then we'll just cut the video right there. Okay, that's looking okay. Now, can we try to bring in the distortion? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to add an adjustment layer. I'm going to save the project. I'm going to give this a new composition saying, call this one Please Work. Please Works. In this adjustment layer, we're going to add a displacement map. DISPLACN meant displacement map. Apply that there. Then for the parameters, set it to particles, set it to the alpha. And then play with the settings here. So that's pretty high setting. It's pretty low. Let's try something in the middle. Let me just see what that looks like. That's pretty cool. I like it. It didn't crash that time, which is great. Great. And then let's add some fun color correction while we're at it. So that's our displacement map. We can make it go crazier, or actually we can make it drag downwards. Might be kind of cool. Go minus numbers here. Make it less shiny there. See what that looks like. And then maybe we can lower that distortion as we get out of it, kind of right around there. Seems like they're pretty high, so it's going to bring those distortions back down to 0. And we can start with distortions kind of low, and they can come up as well. So just like a more gradual effect change. Okay, that's pretty good. Great. Great. Next, what to do? We got those particles. let's do some color work. In the adjustment layer, we can also go to the effect known as stylize. And I think adding some cool, let me see what Sketchify does to this. This makes everything look hand drawn. I'm just curious what it would do to the particles. Or maybe I do this to only the particles. So if we go to our particle layer here, go to effects, and then go to Sketchify. Where are you? Stylize, and then go to Sketchify. Interesting. It just makes it look a little bit more like paint, which is kind of cool to me. Let me see if we turn off distortions. Does it still look cool? I don't know where it's getting this blue color from. Ink intensity, ink color, color strength. Let me turn down color strength. Oh no. Yeah, where is it getting this blue? I don't know where it's getting this blue from. Definitely doesn't have blue before. We can reduce the Sketchify strength. There shouldn't be any blue. This is concrete. Oh, I see. There's concrete. Let's do canvas. Is this also color information? Crumpled paper. Oh, that's interesting. I kind of like that too for its own reasons. This kind of inky look. Let's try abstract. Colorize the midtones. So we should be pulling from the actual painting. That will be it. So for the shadows, let's make the shadows very much on par with those. For the midtones, let's grab maybe something in this green. For the highlights, let's grab something like that in the highlights. 'Cause then it's actually on par with the right color of the environment. Let's take a look. Yeah, that feels better. Okay. And then that's under abstract. You can take the texture up or down. Let me see what marker or I see watercolor looks like. Abstract, concrete, canvas, crayon, color strength, color smoothing, smoothing details. Actually, this looks really cool too. I like it without the distortions too. I mean, with distortions it looks cool, but it also seems to work without it. Let me see it without it or with it. Kind of reminds me of anime texture. I'm gonna get rid of that layer there. I mean, that kind of works. Yeah, let's go to the thing and do some more color work. We got our just to Colorista V, Mojo 2, Magic Bullet Looks. Let's try selective. Do they have the preset still? I forgot how this works. Oh, it's just like a regular color correction tool. I thought they had like looks that I could pull from. All right, let's try effect. What's Chromatown? Whoa, that is a lot. Maybe we just crank it up at this point. Okay, so just added some more chroma effects, and then we turn them up, and then we turn them down. Maybe I'll do the color thing just when the hand hits the frame, like right there. Maybe it's like invoking a power of color, and then we start to bring that value back down to 0. Yeah, it's a little bit more subtle. I like that more. It's already a lot of effects going on in the frame, so I just kind of want to be a little bit more calm with that effect towards the end. All right, I'm ready for sounds. So let's talk about sounds. Um, I got lots of tools for sounds, but the one we're going to be using tonight is 11 Labs. I know people think of them mostly as the tool that generates voices, but for a VFX artist, it's also a wonderful tool to generate sound effects for your creations. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so you can see that. I'm going to go to Window, and I guess I'll share the 11 Labs homepage. All right, so here is the interface, and we go to the sound effects generator on the left, and you can describe your sounds. They have ones that are already built in. For example, like these basses are really neat. Take a listen. But yeah, I mean, this is all great. But you can also describe your sounds. So I'm going to go to these are designed sounds. Let me go to the highest downloaded one. I think you get the idea. Here's some other ones. Anywho, so we can kind of just describe sounds that we want to hear, and then it makes it. For example, this is a sound I described, I think, yesterday. Oh, this one I wanted a haunting, wailing, ghost echoing in a reverb room, river of spirits. I think that's pretty accurate. Or one of these, right? So let's do something similar. I'm going to go down to the bottom here and describe the sound. Floating water molecules in a giant museum are forming together, creating a complex liquid organic structure. Fluids, organic sounding, and then you hit generate. And then their tool will try to create this sound. Floating water molecules in a giant museum are forming together. Um, I can also say sound of liquid organic growth clusters coming together. And let's take a listen to the first ones. Not bad. That one might work. It's a little bit too much water. Let's try this one. Okay, closer, but nah. Acrylic paint coming to life out of a painting. It's tearing through the canvas and creating wet paint sounds. Let's see what those sound like. I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. Sounds like painting. I wonder if anyone's made like the sound of venom or something, like whatever those are. Let me search their sound library. Let me see if someone's done venom. Oh, they have. Whoa. Whoa. These are pretty loud. Let me see. Paint forming. That's what I'm looking for. Stretchy goo morph. I love it. Let me go to use prompt and run that through a couple of times just to get some variations. These are great. I'm just going to change the length to be closer to like the whole length of the video. Love that one. Let me get the WAV file of that. And we're just going to download this to the VFX tutorial. Download that one as well. I like that one as well. Download the WAV of that. Let's take a listen to the longer versions. Love it. I think we have enough Foley to get the effect across. So let's jump into After Effects and then start weaving the audio pieces together. We got the stretchy goo morph and bring that audio in. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. Let me share my After Effects screen. All right. So I brought in the 4 sounds that I liked, and I'm just going to bring them into the timeline, hit the L button to see them come to life. And then let's see. So maybe right around there is when you want to start hearing them. So I'm just going to do a little audio tweak here. So let's get the volume, for example, up and down. Start at minus 45 decibels, then it comes up, and then it starts to go down. Let's bring in the next gooey sound. Okay, let's try the next one. Bring it together. And then we need like a little pulse of energy sound. Maybe a Bram. Magic. Maybe that magic chime ought to do. Trying different magic sounds here. I'm going to use this sound for when the waves appear a bit stronger. Okay, so I just downloaded or generated some sounds. We're going to bring those two in. First one's going to be when this kind of like portal right here, when that force goes right there and they get that color change. We want to hear like a little bit of like an emphasis on that motion. I'm just going to lower the volume of that by maybe like 7 decibels because it seems like it's a pretty loud sound. And then let's also couple it with like a little magic sound. And then we'll lower the volume of that liquidy sound right there. I like it. Okay, I think that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna export this. Um, yeah, and then be done with it. Great. All right, so I think that concludes the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this all the way through. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'm more responsive on Instagram, but I'll try to be more responsive here on YouTube as well. That's how you do it. So we're just going to let it render. You can see the final result on Instagram. I'll probably put some context of like some general workflow ideas there as well. It's about 1 a.m. right now. I'm a new dad. Baby's asleep. That's why I've been doing the live stream so late. So yeah, I'm gonna check. There's one other plugin to get, but I think we're all good. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to Creativity with Don Allen the Third Live. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a creative and productive day. Oh, the camera turned off. Oh, hello. Sorry, the camera. I'm looking at the wrong camera. The battery just died on my main camera. So here's my secondary camera. Hello. That's all we have time for. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.